Record to the cloud. All right, we are recording. So I'm here today with my good friend Saima. We're going to be doing a quick little math lesson. So I'm going to be introducing some fifth grade math topics as if I were teaching to some of my students online. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And we'll jump into our lesson here. And Saima, I'm sure you won't have any questions because you're a fantastic math teacher as well. But if you do, feel free to stop me wherever we are along the route and maybe correct me if you need to. So our let's say multiplying fractions. When I do this with my students, I like to start getting in their heads because coming into fifth grade, they've not really done it a whole lot. Maybe some of them have on their computer with mom and dad at home. But for those kids that have no idea what's going on, I like to start with this. I'll write this on the board, just 2 times 5, 2 times 2, 2 times 1, and then 2 times 1/2. So we all start with 2 times 5. 2 times 5 is pretty simple. They'll all know that one really quick. 2 times 5 is 10. Then we go to 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 1 is, not 1 because math. It is 2. So I'll pause here with the kids and I'll say, okay, what do you notice is happening to our numbers as the number we're multiplying times 2 gets smaller? And so hopefully they notice, oh, the numbers on the right, our answers are getting smaller. 10, 4, and 2, they're getting smaller. So what happens when I multiply by a number that's smaller than 1, like a fraction? They should say, oh, it's going to keep getting smaller. So I'll leave this here, and most kids will know times 1/2. They know half of something is pretty quick. But when it gets into bigger numbers, it gets a little bit more complicated. But this one is just a starting point. And then I'll go from here, and instead of answering this right away, I'll say, okay, let's do this. Let's draw a picture. If I have 2 boxes, and I love that this snaps them together if you draw them nicely enough. Why? There we go. Beautiful. If you have 2 boxes, what happens if you only count half of each box? I'm going to cut each box in half, and I only want this half. So we say, okay, this is 1/2. This is 1/2. Add it together, and you get 1. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. And then we would spend a little bit of time with that. I would maybe throw in a couple more complicated ones, multiplying by a third or a fourth or a fifth or like something weird like a 14th. Just get them kind of excited to maybe draw some pictures. And then as we build that skill of, okay, we can draw it, we can see it as a picture, let's go in and let's do the actual math that you would see if you're going to write it out and you're not going to do pictures. You're going to do kind of standard math that we kind of all grew up seeing. So, okay, what does it actually look like when you're doing 2 times 1/2? So let's switch over a little bit here. So I start by telling the kids, okay, I've got a whole number and we've got a fraction. 2 is our whole number, 1/2 is our fraction. We don't want those to be different types of numbers. I want them to both be fractions. And this is where kids kind of lose it. They kind of lose the thread of everything. You tell them that all whole numbers, 2, as an example, can be written as fractions. And that blows their mind every single time. So like, no way, it can't. And so you show them that all whole numbers have a secret denominator of 1. 2 over 1, I have 2 ones, that's 2. So I can rewrite 2 times 1/2 as 2 over 1 times 1 over 2. And then from there, it's pretty simple. They like this part because it's just easy multiplication now. We're going to take our numerators, which is our top numbers here. We're going to take our numerators, 2 and 1, and we're going to multiply them just straight across. 2 times 1 is 2. And we're going to do the same thing with our denominator. I'm going to close that. One times 2, super exciting, is just 2. So in math, we don't want to leave this like this because it's more complicated than it needs to be. 2 over 2 is great. It's technically correct, and we like technically correct in math, but we also like easy. So instead of writing 2 over 2, we're going to simplify that fraction. And this one is nice and easy to simplify. 2 over 2, any number, any fraction where the numerator and the denominator are the same, you're just going to rewrite that as 1 whole, and that is our final answer. So if we come here and we zoom out a little bit, we can see all the different ways that we can make, let's use our fun pencil here. We can write it out like this. We can do it with pictures, or we can do it with a big standard algorithm. So that is how I would go kind of quickly through teaching multiplying fractions. That's the bulk of everything. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and kind of do a little bit of extra bit here. So Simo, basically what I would do from there is give them some extra time to practice. Say, okay, get with a partner, get with a neighbor at your desk, and we're gonna give each other a fraction and multiply them, and spend some time. And then you kind of monitor and walk around the room and find which kids are struggling and things like that. Oh, I see we've got
I
a
put in
message.
a
Yeah,
question. So I was just wondering about what are you planning on using this and
yeah.
where? If it's going to be your intro to the lesson when you're introducing it to the students, or you're planning on using it as part of a small group activity where the kids didn't understand the concept and you're going to pull
Mm-hmm.
them to a small group and they will, work with you
So
on that.
this would probably be kind of those first two parts I showed where it's the intro, okay, 2 times 10 and down to 1/2 or whatever fraction you pick. And then the pictures would be my lesson day 1. So you get into the new unit and we say,
Mhm.
okay, today we're multiplying fractions. We're going to start here. So let's do a quick little, we call them number talks in our district. And it's where we kind of all just sit around and we're just using our brains to think about numbers. So have them, okay, there's a pattern. As the number gets smaller, my product gets smaller. So they kind of hopefully identify that pattern and say, okay, now let's look at it as a picture, and then let them work on drawing those pictures for a while. And then kids that pick it up quickly, you can kind of come over and say, hey, stop drawing pictures, do this instead. And they can be like, okay, all right, cool. Your GT kids can be right away. They're like, I don't want to draw pictures anymore. This is boring. Your kids that are going to need to draw pictures all year, let them run with it. Don't stress too much about that third section. But then after that first day of pictures and the intro little thought activity, then day 2, I would go in and say, okay, we're going to look at these problems, and they would have some kind of word problem or something with the fractions built into it. Let's solve it using real math rather than pictures. Let's get the numbers out. Let's get abstract thinking going. And then you could also use it if you want to review as a small group. If you have a kid that doesn't get it, hey, let's go back and let's draw those pictures again, or let's break down why things are happening when we do the abstract version.
So do you give them like a practice sheet at the end or
Yeah,
journal
I like
board
to
where
give
they write?
them. So when I introduce a new topic, usually I love to start a new thing on Monday because that gives us a nice long time to get into it. But whenever we start towards the end, maybe even the end of that first day, if it's something simple, I'll give them an exit ticket. So it'll just be 2 problems. Solve these for me, and it's not something I take for a grade, but it's something that just says, here's where you are. You got both problems right. You probably are going to get this, and you'll be okay. You got one wrong. You got one right. Okay, maybe you need some more time, or you got them both wrong, and they're like crazy wrong. Okay, we need to sit together tomorrow. I need to come to your desk while we're teaching and really help you make sure you're on track.
All right, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for your question. That was a really good question. That's all I have for my presentation. I have no idea how long that was. I'm hoping it's close enough. All right. Thank you for listening,
Thank
and
you,
I'm
Joshua.
to do yours next.